Hi, friends. Host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People. Some people call me a space cowboy. Some call me the gangster of love. Very select few call me Maurice, because I rarely do speak of the pompousness of love. But the point I'm trying to get at is, what people do call me a lot is a muser, prone to musing. I was musing earlier with Rachel in the car. I was reflecting upon the 12 days of Christmas. It's presented, and it's fair to say it's presented to us all as though you get a present each of those 12 days. But let's actually take a serious look at the words of that song and see if maybe we've been lied to this whole time. On the first day of Christmas, what do you supposedly get? A partridge in a pear tree. Hi, Octavia Silva. Well, okay, first of all, I could imagine purchasing somebody a potted pear tree. I could imagine purchasing somebody a partridge. But how are you possibly going to get the partridge to stay in the pear tree? They did? I have no idea. I was just musing about it independently today. Specifically, though, what I was musing about is that the almost all of the days, they're birds or people. Is that what the office joked about as well? Noted this? Those things aren't presents. Who wants a bunch of birds? Right? Who wants turtle doves? Who wants calling birds? Who wants French hens? Who wants geese laying? I don't. That just sounds like a lot of responsibility.
Or poop to pick up, like wash half after.
Right. And the other half of the equation, after the geese laying, we got made by all the birds and we're just stopped. Well, that's a little bit, yeah, I mean, it is quite ridiculous, but, obviously, this is something I come up with independently. If I had seen something about it on the office, I would have just referenced that. That would have prompted my line of thinking. Regardless, if you do want to accept that all those things are gifts, then most of them are responsibilities or slavery. You're embracing slavery if you accept maids of milking. You're embracing slavery if you accept Lords Leaping. You're embracing slavery if you accept Pipers Piping. You're embracing slavery if you accept Drummers Drumming. As a gift, you're giving me people,
Yeah.
Another matter that I was thinking about today, besides the 5th day of Christmas, is quite a bit of different matters today, actually. But, it's my father's birthday, and we got him a cake from the Baskin Robbins. I had dinner with him here, and chatted and stuff. Well, Octavia Silva says, I swear that Rachel follows me on Tumblr. Rachel, I'm sorry for posting half-naked art of my character all day. Oh, that's not Mr. Strauss, Octavia Silva. That's Dr. Strauss. I'm Mr. Strauss.
It's true. Oh, what was Octavia saying?
Octavia was saying that just remember, you follow her on Tumblr, and she's been posting half-naked art of her character all day. What character is that? Is your character that you have a name, Octavia Silva? Is it Judy? Most people are named Judy, I've discovered. Yeah. See, this is the weird reality I have in my life, and it suggests to me it's indicative of huge swaths of truth. Namely, my dad has a doctorate in philosophy, but he's never been a tenth of the philosopher I am. I remember when as a certain point as a kid, I realized he can't answer any of my questions anymore. He's not a good person to ask about these questions because he was just he didn't like my probing TI kind of questions because he wanted to think of the TE thing, like stuff he learned about in classes, you know. But that's sort of taught me. But I mean, that didn't teach me. I just only recently found out that his doctorate was in philosophy. I had no idea until this year. It was within the last year that I learned that his doctorate was in philosophy. I always thought it was in education. Sure, you want to maybe go grab another one for us? That'd be cool. Thanks.
Both?
Yeah, I'll have whatever. You know, grab me whatever. Of course, when I talk to my dad for a while, it makes me think of the country, the state of the nation, state of the world. We've been watching these James Bond movies as well. Another thing that makes me think of the state of the world. Maybe I'll retitle this. Updating all statuses regarding the world. How is the world? Update. I'll change my thumbnail to, let's see, let me get a picture of the world. The world. The earth. The world. Change thumbnail. You know what's silly? I have had this, typical of Eric, of course. I've had this, thank you.
You're welcome.
Where's my picture? Map of the world. Here it is. I've had the live streams auto set to no monetization for quite a while now. I've probably been live streaming for weeks now with it set to no monetization. One day, like one time I was going to do something like kind of body or whatever, like telling a bedtime story or something. And I turned off monetization and
And then forgot to put it back?
I just forgot to put it back, yeah. So, anyway, how is the world doing is the question. And today I'm giving updates on how the world is doing. Yo, I heard there was 130 degrees in California. Maybe it like in the hottest spot in Death Valley, maybe it was 130 degrees. Even in Palm Desert, where my dad likes to go down and where we are not at right now because specifically it's so pointless to go there. It's 117 or whatever. But it certainly isn't 130 here.
And Octavia Silva, do not worry. I actually have not checked my Tumblr much today. Ooh.
Tumbly Joe.
Is this okay?
Of course.
Them snapping? I don't know. It could be ASMR for people.
Sure, Hambone. Those are two virtues I aspire to consistently. Is upfront and honest, you know.
Hey, Hambone.
It is frustrating
Good to
dealing
see
with
ya.
people who are not upfront and honest. It's nice to see you. I agree, Hambone. I just figured I got tired of the ocean. I'd go forest instead.
I like it.
Yeah. The problem, the only thing is we both have a problem with is... See? This is the fucking problem. Okay, well, it still looks
Sitting
fine.
on
It
it.
still looks fine. It's because it's hard to hang this thing up so that it's nice and taut without. Then when every time you sit back against it, it pulls down. You know.
True. Yeah.
So anyway, I got tired of
The beach.
the oceans, so we went forest instead.
I like that.
State of the world. So, I've been thinking a lot about the world, about the channel, about me, my short-term and immediate future, what I should do in general, and so forth. And I don't have any, unusual or epiphanic, epiphanic quality of insight about that, except to say that I understand that I'm more successful doing less. Less is more, For me, that should mean that I should be getting more maximization out of my ideation than I am. So I've got lots of ideas about one or two things, like just one thing, like an idea, for example, about I don't know, something regarding the country, like civility or something, that I could express in fairly short order. Put it up as a short video. Put up a bunch of little short videos about single things. If I can just sort of constrain myself and remember less is more, and try to prioritize resonance with other people, I really think that I could do less work and get more out of it. One thing that I learned or experienced the other day with Rachel making that video was it is smarter for me to practice it a bunch of times, and so when you do the take of it, you get it right, or than it is to do a bunch of not right takes and then edit them. It's a silly kind of NI ignoring, TE countervaluing way of doing things.
What can you say? You're an ENTP.
Well, Mrs. Mom, you're right. Just like when an actor tries to make it big in Hollywood, in addition to TE, you need a bit of a lottery effect or a TE plus a village. Well, the point is, I guess one of the bits of clarity that I'm trying to internalize is that the problem isn't so much that it's true what you say. You need a bit of lottery effect, maybe. You need a bit of TE, etc. But I really think that primarily what I need is to render what are inherently powerful things into more singular, just digestible chunks of video. Like, I'm actually quite confident that if my best moments, quote unquote, and or ideas or little thing, bits of guru-iness or whatever, were presented as bite-sized chunks, that the comparative value of it is sufficient to garner essentially larger audience than I currently have. Now, granted, it is still going to appeal more to intuitives than to censors, so that's going to limit the scope and size of my audience. But I do believe that I am not anywhere near the ceiling of what I'm currently doing, given that I'm doing it so haphazardly. Well, like, people want NI truths, right? NI truths are going to unavoidably sound a little guru-y because they're a little less nuanced. They're less cautious in making statements. If you get really TI on shit, then you're going to qualify the hell out of everything. You got to explain a bunch of background information before you can explain any concept. And people are just like, it's too dry, too long, too boring, too complicated. And the thing is, for me, I've got this kind of attachment to what I consider, correctly establishing things, But most people are not evaluating whether something's been established based on my kind of debate criteria where you go, all right, well, has he really established it? They're not looking to see if you've established it. They're saying, am I enjoying this video? Am I feeling like, wow, that's so insightful? Or some other feeling like that people get who watch videos where people talk about ideas, I guess, Certainly that's what I see. But see, that's maybe in NI fifth means that I seek insights when I'm watching videos. But I suspect that's basically inherent to the medium and what's going on,
I think of you as my local cool radio show that I tune into. Know the cast of the characters. You do everything a good radio station and DJ once did in a local neighborhood community, says Winston's mom.
That's an interesting comparison. Thank you for that.
That is, especially since we were talking about how your dad used to listen to radio programs that were entertaining.
I mean, the thing is, the reason I feel a lot luckier than either Howard Stern or Wolfman Jack is, of course, Howard Stern had to sacrifice all his nuance in order to attain his full success.
Yeah.
He had to be one thing. He still tried to be the king of all media, but no, he had to be one thing, and he got stuck being that one thing. And, it's like Wolfman Jack, I don't know anything about the guy exactly, except that he was specifically a radio DJ playing rock music and so forth. I like the idea of being a complete person and yet still being a media object. And that's probably unreasonable expectation of me, because once people render into you in their heads into a media object, then you're fundamentally not a complete person to them anymore. You're an object of analysis. Hi, Jordan Spike. Your fuzzies don't smell. I'm glad to hear it. It depends on how recently I've had a bath as to whether mine do.
Yeah. The stuff that I have coming in the mail tomorrow is just you know how girls have body spray? Mm-hmm. It's like body spray for when I get out of the bath, so I can spritz under my arms.
Rachel, do you ever feel not so fresh?
Yeah.
Have you tried Summer's Eve?
Summer's Eve for down there.
Oh, I thought that's what you were talking about, body spray. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, not a vag spray.
I'm talking pits.
Oh, neither you and I wear deodorant very often.
No, but I like to spray my pits with perfume so that it's a little less musky.
The thing is, it's just a joke about commercials they used to have. So when I was a kid, they had a commercial where the woman would say,
"Oh my god,
do you ever feel not so fresh?" And then they'd get this product, and of course, I thought it was hilarious. My friends thought it was hilarious. But,
I mean, it is hilarious.
It's like, it's basically like, does your vag stink? Here. This will save everybody's whole factories. Anyway, it doesn't apply to Rachel at all, of course. The thing is, Rachel and I, the reason I suspect we both wear deodorant intermittently around each other is, it is never the case that I think, oh, Rachel smells bad. Somehow her smell doesn't bother me at all. It has from the very beginning. When she's smelling kind of ripe, doesn't bother me at all. She's clean as a whistle.
Thanks,
as far as that stuff goes, email anthrax.
Yeah, him too.
And the thing is, it's just sort of, I guess, if you're pheromonally compatible, then you like the way each other smells, and even when you're kind of ripe, it doesn't bug you much. It smells like yourself.
It's so lucky. Really, I'm grateful for it. 2, maybe 3 days ago, I went like this to him. and I smelled him, and he smelled like nothing. And it was like this like moment of like clarity, like, oh my gosh, like we're so compatible that my nose is not bothered by any sort of scent that you're giving off right now at all. It's very pleasing.
I'm glad Winston's mom found the Summer's Eve commercial.
Oh no! Oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing.
Copy link address. Put it here. Because of this weird thing that YouTube does. Get rid of that.
Oh.
Yeah. Put it here. I'm going to mute this so I don't have any copyright problems for a second. Hold everyone. Everyone hold your proverbial horses, please.
Fresh is a walk through the woods on an early spring morning.
Fresh is a gentle breeze that takes you by surprise. Fresh is simple with Summer's Eve, the most convenient disposable douche you can buy. This exclusive one-piece unit means there's nothing to assemble. And it's available in 2 fragrances, or vinegar and water, the solution doctors recommend.
With Summer's Eve, freshness has never been simpler.
Mom, do you ever feel, not so fresh? Sure. That's why I douche. But only with natural ingredients. Who has natural ingredients? Massengill. They have vinegar and water or baking soda. Trust Massengill to make you feel natural.
Winston's mom, you got the wrong commercial. Here's the proper one, okay? This is the proper one. This is a full blast. I like this one a lot. It's wholesome because, of course, the young lady, the teenage girl, she's on a yacht with her mom, as teenage girls always are. They're yachting together. Naturally,
It's easy breezy, just like Summer's Eve.
And they must have a crew because they're not manning the yacht at all, okay? They're just
chilling
sitting on the yacht on the deck.
Yeah, there's
chatting.
no guy there, yeah.
Naturally, the young lady's curious. She wants to know, Mom, do you ever feel not so fresh?
It's a great question.
It is a great question. And Mom says, are you saying you can smell my puss?
No,
No, Mom, no. No, I'm talking about me.
It's like,
and my
it's so
puss.
funny because it's like her answer is so quick. It's like, if you're asking me if I douche, yes, I do. It's the word douche has changed so much over the years. Like, its usage of it.
The usage of what?
Douche.
Douche?
Yeah.
Well, it used to just be referring to shooting water up your puss.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yes.
They were clearly trying to evoke that Jackie Kennedy on the sailing boat near Kenny Bunkport vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
Well, I mean, the important thing to remember is that that's a time when a mom and a daughter have alone when they're on the yacht, when they can really chat about woman stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't show the whole conversation. Prior to that, she asked where babies came from, why there was blood coming out of herself once a month, what these lumps on her chest were, and various other things. We only got the part about feeling not so fresh. It was the only part that was relevant to Massengill.
Oh, God,
oh my kitty freshness, Pam.
She really is.
Would you like to see my kitty freshness, Pam?
Yeah, I think they deserve to.
You're gonna get the green screen illusion is gonna be ruined.
Okay, get ready.
Oh, there's
Gosh,
my kitty
look
freshness,
at her.
Pam.
Oh my gosh.
See?
She's
She's hanging on the side of the chair like that.
She came over to me because she knew I was heavily involved with something, so she came over to relieve me with some FI.
Fortunately, well, the room isn't really that great a background. If you just look out our back window here, you see we've got a revolving forest. So
Doesn't it remind
pretty
you
cool.
of like The Hobbit or something? Like I
Yeah.
feel like the Shire.
Remember
the
when we
Shire.
picnicked right up there, Rachel? When we went up back and we just carried a picnic basket back there and we just said, you know what? Forget it. We're going to be in nature today. Remember? That was so much fun.
Yeah, that was so much fun. I learned that bug spray is important.
Do you remember we saw a bear right over there? We did that one time.
Yeah, we did that one time. We wanted to name it too, but we couldn't decide.
And Rich, you were about to slip on that moss, and I said, be careful!
Yaw.
That's our house over
Thanks
there.
to your long limbs, you're able to grab me.
Yes, Brenny Fox, you and Email Anthrax can just stop
Yeah,
your...
bear.
Stop your little game that you're playing, okay?
You know what's pretty insane? Cameron was over, last week? And he...
I had footage of a bear from Sierra Madre.
Yeah, he had... There was a bear in this, like, water fountain, decorative water fountain, chilling in the water. And he actually said that you're not supposed to record them, like, you're supposed to, like, try and, like, shoo them away. Which I'm guessing he, like, managed probably really stealthily, but in the meantime he had really cool footage of a bear taking a bath in a pool, in a fountain.
Yeah, and I suggest they send it to the local news because in Los Angeles, like bear in a fountain is guaranteed to make local news. It's like the thing everybody watches the rest of the news to wait through to get to this footage of the bear in a fountain, which they show in the commercial ahead of time anyway. So
I love
you
that.
get their little commentary. Well, that sure is a bold fellow. Oh gosh, glad nobody was hurt. Wonderful.
That's like in Anchorman when they have like the squirrel on the skis.
The human interest story.
Yeah.
What does Kitty think of floppy fish with catnip? She messed with it for a little while, and then she got stuck on her something, so it wasn't moving anymore. And when I moved it, she wasn't interested anymore. But you know, she's got a lot of live things outside that she messes with.
Yeah.
She doesn't,
We don't even know. She stays away from us now with it.
Like we mentioned before, she brought a live rabbit in here one time.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
she's not really a toy playing kitty so much as
She
she
is
is
not.
a mighty huntress.
She is a huntress. I call her a warrior queen. Look at her now. She knows.
A
Yes,
bushel of
you
bears.
are a warrior kitty.
Listen,
The huntress Capillo.
I've never ordered a bushel of bears.
Oh,
Well,
Capillo.
you're gonna have to
Mommy
take
and
them
Daddy
back.
love you.
I don't want these bears at my house.
Winston's mom, girly stuff, shopping. I didn't want to ignore the question. I got myself some body spray from Victoria's Secret. It's called Very Sexy. The name is what it is, but it smells really good. So it's like a nice, like, lighter scent. So I can, like, freshen up.
Chicks are very concerned about being sexy, you know? So they buy things that say very sexy or whatever. I'm not really that concerned about it. Like, if there was a male product called, you know,
Very sexy for men.
strapping male or something, you know, strapping young man.
Yeah, I promise you, it's not for the name. It's definitely for the scent. It's just like pleasant. It smells like coffee. You know, like a fresh pot of coffee.
That is pleasant.
Nice, Sam. Levi Samuels. You should buy it.
So, you know, a couple of things that I've been thinking in general about sort of being more clear about my directionality, I guess. Another area is I really want to make an effort to talk to my dad a couple times a day, at least for an hour, more than an hour a day, because
I'll join you with that too,
it's just, I noticed when I was talking to him earlier today, before dinner, this morning, I just realized, like, oh, he's getting a little bit, like, tottery or something. Like, he's not getting senile, but he's getting kind of, he's projecting more elderly, and he used to just project old, it makes me realize that I have to, even though my dad is not one to accept me in a caregiving role, really, or being the one with like, the wherewithal to make judgments about a lot of things, I guess. I need to shift into kind of a more of a caregiving mode with them. Today we went through his chase count, reassured him that it was locked down properly. And I mean, it's easy for me to talk to my dad. I just gotta ask him a question or two, and he'll get rolling, and I don't even have to.
Oh yeah, and he and we talk about Pennsylvania a lot, because I went to college close to where he grew up, so, like, a lot of things that he references to his childhood, like places like I've been to before, which is kind of cool. Plus, he has like so much like lore knowledge, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, we live here at my dad's house. You mad, bro? Rachel and I, interestingly, kind of moved in here almost at the same time.
Yeah.
I had been out of my parents' house for, 23 years or something. But after I broke up with Kimberly, I had to move out of Laverne. I came back here sort of temporarily, but also that shift really drove home to me, oh my God, my dad really needs my help with my mom more than I'm providing, and he really needs me here. So at the time, I was happy to stay here, and obviously I got pretty comfortable. Like, yeah. I'm not in any hurry. We're very comfortable here.
It's great.
There's no need to have our own residence, even if there were no reason at all to stay.
Oh, it's very pleasant. It's so nice. I mean, we're able to take nice baths, and we have our own space out here.
Mm-hmm. We got an inside part where we can smoke.
We've got the outside deck.
The master bedroom where we can sleep, and the bathroom in there.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm an only child. And my daughter's an only child. So I kind of have a sister, and then my dad kind of treats us both like kids. Like his kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And I feel the same thing, just talking to him a little bit. He really appreciates, like today we had, a talk about, children's songs, and he told me a song that I had never heard before, so.
It's published. I mean, it's on the internet. It's on YouTube, that song. I don't know what else you mean by publish it. It's just nobody ever listened to it. This is, like, I've got so many videos, right? A lot of probably good, interesting-ish, maybe good videos from way back in the day never really got any views because, obviously, if you don't have any subscribers, you only get 9 views on something, then it's just how it goes.
I really like this set of Bond movies. I just wanted to say
Yeah, he's great.
he is great.
Daniel
as
Craig
Bond.
is a great
He did
Bond.
a great job.
I've enjoyed them all. Rachel got sick by the last one, which
Don't-
is understandable. Totally fine, Rachel. I don't care. Am I fussy about it? I'm not fussy.
It was only like I just felt
There's a lot of ISTP action.
Yeah,
Like, Daniel
which-
Craig clearly plays Bond as an ISTP. What's interesting is in literally every single one of these, his girlfriend's an
Yep.
INFJ. She's got
or
beta quadra
ESTP.
eye.
But yeah,
Oh yeah,
beta
ESTP.
quadra.
Somebody beta
Yeah.
quadra. Though. There was that one that was ESTP.
Yeah.
But regardless, they have the beta quadra eyes, and this one, the most recent one that we saw called Spectre, she was the most INFJ of them all.
Oh my gosh, she was so INFJ. She was so INFJ.
Okay, so let's pull a bong rip
Yeah.
for all the people in the world who are mad at the crazy nonsense that predominates our understanding of things. Together, through civility and correctness, we will peacefully resolve these matters.
Yeah.
That's my goal. Would you like some marijuana?
Yes, I would. Thank you a lot.
A child, a stupid fucking child. In like Flint with James Coburn. Is that an old movie?
If you originally in like Flint, we'll check out the trailer for sure.
Is that code for Trummel? You mean Trump 2020? I'm not in favor of Trump 2020 at all. My advocacy is write me in on the ballot. Eric Strauss. I'm gonna sort of, begin pursuing making videos that basically say, here's my position on politics in America and so forth, a couple of minutes, and say, we don't really have any other options right now. At least here's something that people can do besides vote for Trump or Biden. You can write me in on the ballot. I'm a serious candidate. I'll be a serious candidate for 2024 for sure. I'm not going to win the election with a write-in campaign, but it will give me legitimate momentum if I could get enough write-in votes to make any kind of media impact.
Yeah, that's you can as a an American citizen write in.
Yeah, so I'm going to probably start that tomorrow. You know, it's like I'm always trying to think, okay, well, what can I do today that would be not so much work, good outcome? It's hard for me to gauge that. My TE is not that good. Basically, I'd be well served to get an idea, practice sort of giving like a little 5-minute speech on it, and then just chop that, just call that a video, put it up there, you know? Or if we're going to do something together, then we should practice it like, you know, like a song almost, so that by the time we get the take of it doesn't require hardly any editing.
Okay, I'm used to doing that sort of stuff.
Is Trump's Space Force a legit institution? I mean, I don't think so. Right, do they have any spaceships and laser guns and stuff yet? I'm pretty sure they don't.
Speaking of ESFP, the bad guy in Skyfall, Harvey Bardem, he reminded me of a chaotic ESFP. Just like kind of like blowing stuff up.
And which one?
Skyfall.
Okay, so he was the blondish guy with the teeth that came out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, ESFP sort of makes sense. What do you think about the villain in the last one?
TJ came to my mind at one point.
Hmm.
But I don't know. He's a good actor too.
Yeah.
He plays this so cool. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard. It's hard for me to type him.
I mean, look, I think the thing is to remember, the issue here, the nice thing about this election, it should be an opportunity for us to bridge partisan gaps in the sense that neither of those candidates is remotely qualified. You don't have to be a Democrat to not support Trump. You don't have to be a Republican to not support Biden.
Yep, these are facts.
Any regular sane citizen will agree that, at the very least, will agree with this, that those are not ideal candidates. That certainly somebody's better is available in the country than either of those two. Now, even if you're a full-blast Trump supporter, I doubt you try to claim that he's the best possible candidate in the country, or that he's not made any mistakes. Same thing with, I mean, it's hard to find any Biden supporters. It's not like anybody's passionate about Biden, right? It's just like, well, he's not Trump. Well, I'm not Trump, and I'm actually qualified and competent. This is not even green.
I know. It's so weird.
It's yellow. The best of the best of us today in the U.S. is either Trump or Biden, right? Yeah. Nobody's gonna think that. So,
Best of the best of us?
yeah. Here's the thing. It's like, since when did that become so obviously a joke that the best and brightest manifest their patriotic duty as statesmen, you know? What I would like to try to do is to manifest my patriotic duty as a statesman, which is very different than the politicians we have now. Politicians we have now are it's not like there was a golden age of politicians when everybody was reasonable. But what I'm saying is, there seems to be a lack of statesmanship, a lack of appeal to principle that addresses the framework of the other party in a meaningful way.
Well said.
Oranges are kind of like less efficient clementines. It's actually a notion, curious Kyra. I didn't know clementines were efficient. Your karma seems to be related to politics? Interesting.
Who said that?
Engantier.
Could be true. You are 22. Life goes. I think we got leadership qualities.
Um,
Gosh.
yeah, I still want to do this meetup. September's not really going to work for me, it looks like. It's just kind of tight, I guess. But, you know, now that I'm doing coaching again, 'cause I basically quit all of my debate coaching during the summer. So that's, you know, cost me some change. It's like Tennessee is kind of the unofficial headquarters of Talking with Famous People. It's strange because I've had multiple links to Tennessee through Talking with Famous People. One of the first people I visited was Trenton, who was from Tennessee. I visited him. Cross country trip. I went to this weird little off the beaten. I mean, it was just like this cool little town in a forest, basically. You know, like, and hung out with him for part of a day. I ended up engaged in a somewhat tawdry affair with a channel person from Tennessee. And now there's Isaiah Rude, Morridge, and Winston's mom are all from Tennessee, as well as, of course, Isaiah's brother, Elijah Rude. It's quite a Tennessee hub of...
I have a cousin in Tennessee.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. It's like the Slavs are directing us to Tennessee.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I got you, Winston's mom. I felt... I was starting to feel like, okay, this is... Shit's still so up in the air, you know? It's ridiculous. Good night, Levi Samuels. You go to sleep. You sleep well. And... Simps are the opposite of pimps. That's pretty true. Good observation, Kyra. You're on a roll tonight with good observations.
Yeah.
That could be made into a song. Ooh, watch it burn. Hey, Zandy.
The interesting thing, of course, is the interesting thing is you don't really want to be on either end of that spectrum, right? You don't want to be big simping, obviously. But you also don't want to be big pimping. That's just... what's the word? Degenerate. In my opinion. Ultimately, it's just degenerate.
Go on my eyebrow.
You don't have a whole lot of eyebrow left, Rachel. You better protect what you got there.
Hey!
I'm just gently teasing my sweet, sweet, precious angel.
I promise not to.
You know who lives near you, you mad bro? A lady by the name of UP Gardening Adventure. The UP stands for Upper Peninsula. Upper Peninsula stands for a part of Michigan. Perhaps you're familiar with it.
Yeah, don't mess with the brows.
Right. My bad, baby. My bad. I
It's
forgot
okay.
about the importance of brows. You know, someday they're going to replace all of your hairs with brows. Instead of having a head on top of your hair, hair on top of your head, just have a big brow.
No, I'm okay. I like my brows. I don't care.
Your brows are perfect, darling.
Thanks.
Like everything about you.
Thanks, Sandy. That's really sweet of you. Can I give you a kiss on the cheek?
Of course, my precious wonder. Thank you, darling.
It's so nice when we're sweet to each other. We prefer that.
Oh yes, we're not snipey. We're not bickery. I don't normally tease nobody, even that gently. I
Yeah,
just don't
no,
tease at all.
me too.
I'm not a teaser. I don't believe in
sometimes
teasing.
I
I don't
do-
like
yeah.
teasing. Sometimes I might attempt to tease very gently, almost like teasing about teasing.
Yep.
But it's possible I might like with chicks, they're weird about everything. So it's like you better be careful.
Running Fox says like a Muppet eyebrow. That's a good NI right there.
Yes, like a Muppet eyebrow. I want that across my nose and the top of my cheeks.
Ooh. They don't grow. My grandma. See, I must have my grandma's eyebrows.
Can you scoot over? And
Sure.
put this
Oh,
on the camera that
sure.
we got?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh.
I didn't. You knew you had no reason to think that was expected of you. I appreciate it.
You're. My grandma told me not to pluck my eyebrows because hers didn't come back. But I had friends who, like, part of their beauty routine was plucking their eyebrows, and I followed suit. It just, like, I liked plucking. I don't know. But so my grandma was right. They didn't grow back. Mine didn't, but I do know people who their eyebrows do grow back. But it does take time. Yeah, like Bert. Bert has great eyebrow.
Bert has great eyebrow?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's very expressive.
Indeed.
Does Ernie have a brow? No. Does he have eyebrows?
I think he has two brows.
I think so too.
It seems to me Ernie has two brows.
I think it's B-E-R-T.
I agree, I think it's B-E-R-T. Once as much as you were not inherently nice people, I would not have hung around so long. I like nice people. Yeah, well, I don't find that I encounter very many not nice people in the world, you know? I don't encounter very many people who are, well, they comprise a very small minority of people, those who seem to be hostile. You know?
Yeah.
Am I being too positive about the world? I just don't seem to encounter a lot of, like, malevolence or hostility. Sometimes I do. Those people tend to really be memorable. You know, those are the spite monkeys. But they certainly comprise a stark minority of people.
Mm-hmm. I'd say that too. Winston's mom, I'm sure you look great. And eyebrow pencil's a saver, you know? For those times where I want to accentuate my eyes a little bit more. I like makeup. It's like a... Have I found any cool crystals this week? Asked Sandy. I have not, but I've been admiring the crystals that we put in the fish tank. There's a lot of really nice ones that we got from Quartz Hill.
I
So...
just fed the fish, by the way.
cool. We have fish, peacock, basically 3 cats. Mimp sunkies. That's funny. Curious, Kara.
The internet's full of mean people and toxicity. I think they aren't like that in person. I mean, it's weird. I just don't perceive it like that. I mean, obviously, we're both operating on our own experience, right? We're both SI users, Morage. So, I suspect that has to do with FE second. Makes you more aware of when something's mean. Or ill-intentioned, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that, are you more inclined towards Morage's position? The internet's full of mean people and toxicity. Or are you more inclined towards my position, like, it seems like majority of people are pretty nice?
What?
Are you more like Morage's position, the internet's full of mean people and toxicity? Or, like what I'm saying, that most people seem pretty nice? Right.
I've seen both sides. Because there's a lot of scammers out there now. Like, I definitely was like, almost scammed. But like I would say a majority of people are actually nice and mostly just curious. Most overall, I would say.
Yeah, I think the thing is, a small amount of meanness
Yeah.
makes a more lasting impression, probably, than the equivalent amount of niceness, maybe by a substantial amount. So,
Yeah.
would make it inherently more memorable.
You're gonna make a palindrome for it, Curious Kyra? I'm fine with that. We could post it.
What are we gonna make a palindrome? Let's see. Those are hard to make. Palindromes are really hard to make because they gotta spell the same way front, forwards, and backwards.
Hannah's a palindrome, isn't it? Name Hannah?
Hannah what?
Hannah's a palindrome, isn't it?
Yes. Hannah is about. But it's spelled with one. Well, actually, it's spelled with two N's too. It's not if it's spelled with two N's or one N. It's spelled palindrome.
Ah.
Xanity's name would be a palindrome if her name was Xanaz.
Ah. Thanks, Nathan Long.
Instead, her real name is Zondi.
Do you feel like you're in the woods of Hogwarts?
So, yeah, here's the thing.
Now it's kind of like Sleeping Beauty.
I was reading a study on civility for my debate coaching, and it talked about how people, when exposed to incivility about political discourse, they have generally, it diminishes their faith in the political process, it diminishes their sense of ownership in the political process, and other things like that, you know? And then I'm reading about psychological ownership as a way of trying to argue in favor of compulsory voting. And do I actually believe in compulsory voting? Fuck no. But, you know, I gotta argue in favor of for a debate round, obviously. For my kids to have both sides of the case is obviously necessary. So, we gotta figure out a way to argue in favor of it. Anyway, the whole Civic Beauty line of reasoning, which goes along with notions of civility and psychological ownership of the political process. It's actually sort of, I guess I just realized it right now. You're blowing people's ears out. I'll put it in a mic like that.
Sorry, man.
It's okay. Shit happens. I do it all the time. So, here's the thing. I just sort of realized right now, actually, it kind of all came together for me, which is the thing that this debate topic has done in my investigation into lines of argumentation about civic duty and psychological ownership and civility as a general frame is it gives me a starting message point to the extent that I want to. Well, it allows me to move forward with pitching like a writing campaign, because now I have a central message around which I can at least that I can begin from and say, you know, the core theme and message of this is going to be the need for civilized people to be the ones in charge. And civilized people are civil. They engage in civil discourse. And I've not always been civil. I know the temptation of being incivil. So I don't come to judge those who have a history of incivility, because I have a history of incivility myself. It's like, this is a good starting point for a conversation about about politics, you know, about why you should vote for me.
So it's a good discussion.
Yeah, one of the reasons is because a citizen democracy is the engine of which the engine of a citizen democracy is civil discourse about political concerns, and that means actually involving the electorate in the conversation rather than simply preaching to the electorate that your particular vision of it is of the conversation is correct, or preaching to a bunch of people who already have a clear understanding of what's correct politically. Almost everything the government does, it does in ways that are responsive to changing realities. Almost nothing the government does is an implementation of some grand ideological scheme or totalizing vision. Another thing I read in doing this debate research that I thought was of note, and it's probably a term I'm going to begin using more, is that we can know what to be highly skeptical of based on the extent to which it totalizes. It's a totalizing worldview. If it functions as a singular frame that's always prioritized to when it conflicts with any other frame, that is totalizing worldview, and that produces totalitarianism, you know? So, in other words, it's a process embracing notion I'm engaging in here. A process embracing notion that accepts and understands constraints in the process allow us to safely be agents in a world where actions have unpredictable consequences. Whereas totalizing worldviews don't. They may provide more certainty, but if that certainty is predicated on a false static representation of reality that's non-responsive to real stuff, then fuck that noise, right? Does that sound presidential?
Yeah,
It does to me, you know?
it does to me too.
It's like, look, why are we so determined in this country to not have real people be president? I am not a polished object for winning the blandest human contest, right? Nor am I an object to use to exploit narrative of divisiveness. I'm not a representative of any ideology. Nor am I not fundamentally opposed to ideational notions like Trump is. Ted Cruz make an awesome president? Why?
I think you would make an awesome president.
Me too. I mean,
Sorry, what you have to get?
I'll make the time. Because we are a nomad.
Jolly Ranchers really are a delight.
I mean, it takes more than being smart to be an effective president. To be the best possible president. I feel quite certain, and, who knows, reality might prove me wrong, but I feel extraordinarily certain that you could put any candidate in a room with me, give us each a little chance to have a conversation, or talk to reporters together or something. At the end of that Q&A, at the end of that opportunity for both parties for both individuals to display their worth, there won't be a single person in the room who is not deep down convinced that I'm a better candidate. The other person won't be able to won't stand a chance. I mean, it's like the people we're dealing with as politicians are so fundamentally lost, right? They don't know how to have a vision without being ideological. They don't know how to have a vision without turning it into somebody to blame, some party to blame. You know, a real vision doesn't just, I'm sorry, in all, I keep doing is saying like, okay, well, alright, let's drive your stupid way for a while, regardless of reality. Oh, that didn't work. Fine, let's try the other stupid way for a while, regardless of reality. Well, that didn't work. Let's drive this way for a while. No, look, don't make your decision. We're gonna drive straight for a while. The road might curve, right? Curve with it accordingly. Good night, my sweet. I love you.
I have you too.
I'll be in there not super long, probably. I don't think I'm gonna be up super late tonight.
Enjoy yourself.
Cool.
Wherever you take.
Um.
Open?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Yeah. So the thing is, it's important for me to be able to establish a few things, okay? So, I need to establish that what I'm offering here is something new. A genuinely new alternative. I'm not hope you change the Obama, right? It's not backwards looking. It's not progressive. It's not any of those things. It's not libertarianism. It's not any of those things. The reason I think it's important to be new is because our central point is this. Can anybody ever remember us having an actual citizen president who talked like a citizen to citizens about actual things in an engaged way? I don't. I'm a regular guy living here in California. I see this country falling victim to a rotting democracy. And I believe I can turn that around. It's not by implementing anybody's team's vision. It's by being correct about each individual issue. It's about communicating with people. And it's about selling a vision of civility and of intelligence. And of moderation. But not smug pedantry either, you know? It's like the world's a tricky place. We need clever people in charge. Well, yeah, the two-party system is part of a problem, for sure. It does tend to lead to divisiveness. However, it's not necessarily the case that a multi-party system is preferable. It's important to remember that that multi-party systems have single-issue parties, which are particularly susceptible to political bargaining If your only issue is the beer tax, if you're the beer tax party, right? You want to lower the taxes on beer. You'll probably get your thing accomplished by making a bunch of deals to agree to vote yes on a bunch of other people's shit that you don't care about. Not because it's a good idea to vote yes on it, or because you know what you want to get when you get into Congress. You want to get the beer tax lowered. Something to think about. Something that you don't normally think about. People don't normally think about when they talk about the problem of the two-party system. I would argue that we probably don't need any political parties at all. But it's hard to deny the fact that political parties will naturally emerge because you have passionate advocates for certain political positions and or sets of positions and or parties and or candidates, and those people will want to organize. Organization results in political parties or something even less regulated than that. So I'm thinking a lot about the state of the nation, state of the world as well. I see us narratively running certain wrong directions, and those wrong arguments gaining broader consensus rather than diminishing consensus. That's concerning to me. And I would boil it down to simply, Goebbels' rule. You say a lie often enough, people assume it's true. And it's like they're not really saying lies. They're giving interpretations as though they were facts. They're laying out interpretations as though their case was already made, Well, it's time for somebody to step up and put an end to that nonsense. And it's going to require both a very powerful actor on the metaphysical plane. People who say talk is cheap are people who say talk is cheap are stupid. To put it simply. Okay. There's nothing cheap about talk if you got the right platform and the means to be heard adequately. What you say matters a great deal. Whether you say meow or meow matters a great deal. No, but see, that's the thing, Zandy. Talk's not cheap when there's no action behind it. Talk's cheap when there's no logic behind it. So, let me tell you what's cheap talk. Trump saying that the virus is overblown and it's just a cold. Why was it cheap talk for him? Because when asked why, he said, just a hunch. So, that rendered his talk cheap. In other words, he had an opportunity to make the case for the correct side on COVID, and he talk is cheaped it. In other words, he didn't think it mattered why. It was true. For him, it's true if he feels like it's true. In this case, he was right. Plenty of times he's wrong. But he doesn't want to test that because plenty of times he's wrong. Yeah, talk is cheap when there's no rationale behind it. And talk is not only cheap, it's damaging, it's toxic, it's awful. Excellence is not a gift, but a skill that takes practice. We do not act rightly because we are excellent. In fact, we achieve excellence by acting right, Plato says. That's very Alpha Quadra NTP of a notion, right? So, that's not Beta Quadra, which tends to view the individuals as examples of an inherent pattern of sorts, you know. You feel attacked, and then I don't. That was your SE moment, Zandy. That's the very third slot SE thing you said there. Zandy, I did not mean to react in a chopped, busty fashion with you at all. I apologize for that. What I understand entirely as an SE third slot person, you are going to find that, you know, words are, you know, basically that everything validates via, for you, like when you take action on something. Hey, if Bobby said he's going to bring a sweater to me and he didn't show up with it, talk's cheap. So it's like promises are cheap, true. Justifications aren't. That's the interesting thing, is there's a distinction to be made. I would sort of agree that promises are cheap. I wouldn't agree that justifications are, though. Those are the things that ultimately should be convincing everybody. Unfortunately, when the wrong voices making the wrong arguments seem to have a throttle hold on what's being said in the media, then, at least in the mainstream media, then the right narratives don't get out, the wrong narratives persist. It's so important that for everybody, there'll be somebody to blame. So it's like, who's to blame for this COVID shit? Is it the epidemiologists who were alarmist and recommended that we do this disastrous thing? No, it really was all of everybody, not me, but you know, it really was everybody who went along with it and agreed with it in the first place. And the reason was because we didn't stop and say, is this how we justify things? We have to talk about our justifications. If things are completely unjustified, then bad stuff will happen. So the lesson from this is, next time, make these people justify what they're insisting you do. Doing's cheap. Talking's important. You know, justifications matter. What's done matters a lot less than whether or not it's justified. Because if doing is always justified, you don't have to worry about it having. You can safely assume that huge swaths of possible negative impact are not possible anymore because it's principled action. As soon as you take the principle away from the action, then you can no longer assume that. And the principle is attained through words, language, modeling correctly the way that human agents move through this dynamic ecosystem of egos and other stuff, you know? A professional conversationalist? That sounds like an exhausting profession. I'd be happy to be a professional conversationalist. Somebody would pay me to be a conversationalist. Alright, can you come over to this table and make conversation with these people? So yeah, I could do that. I could do that. Hey! Hi, I'm Eric. I'll be your professional conversationalist tonight. I saw you two were having a little bit of trouble getting the talk started here on your first date. So, the restaurant sent me over to help. Can you please share with me your names? You're Sarah and... Say again? Slanonon? Okay. Sarah and Slanonon. What kind of a name is Slanonon? Oh, Finnish. Oh, interesting. Okay. So let's start with some questions. Have you already asked her about, her relationship with her childhood home? Is she still living in her childhood home? You got some concrete things like that. Are you comfortable with that question, ma'am? No, not comfortable? Okay. Have you asked her about this sweater that she's got? It's pretty warm outside, and that's a pretty bulky sweater. Have you asked her why she's got such a bulky sweater on? No. What's the? You seem to be scowling at me. What was your name again? Julie? I remember Slavanovan. But okay, fine. Listen, let's stop. Okay. Why don't you, Julie? You do the asking. You ask him. What's up with the crazy name, Savannah? You don't like that question, okay. Okay, you guys are a tough crowd here. Either you guys play chess? No? Neither of you play chess? Okay. Why don't you share with us, Julie, why you don't play chess? I mean, expand. You don't like it because... I see. You never played it before. Okay, well... Savannah, have you talked about what you're looking for in a date here? You're looking for somebody funny, somebody vibrant, somebody with panache, or somebody demure. Why don't you want to tell me? Okay, you guys are just being difficult. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to still pay me though. I can't help you. You're just purposely ruining my efforts. So, yes, you still have to pay me. No, I didn't succeed. You didn't pay for the success, you paid for the effort. Okay? It's not my fault you guys fucking suck at talking to each other, okay? So, I tell you what, as a parting bit of wisdom for each of you, so that you feel like you really spent your money well, I have one of these for you, and one of these for you. That's for you, Julie. You like that one? Hey, I did my job. The fact that you guys are dead as a couple of rocks is not my fault, A couple of any polars over there at that table. Don't you send me to another any polar table, Bob. Okay? I told you, I'll do this job, but no any polar tables. Got one of them has to have some sort of extroverted intuition, okay? See, that's host Eric's equivalent to Rick Benson's Bone Symposium. Restaurant conversation facilitator. Morning. Bit of an asshole. Look, I don't mean to be crass, but have you asked her about the big old knocks? Are those all big naturals or what? What do you mean I'm fired? I wasn't supposed to ask that. I wasn't talking to you, lady. I was talking to him. I know you could hear me. I know you're sitting right there. I'm pretending you aren't. This happens too often. If you don't want me commenting on the knocks, why you got them out on display? Tourists at play. No breaking the table comes at the end of the conversation, Julie. Bye, curious coward. Sleep well. Sleep with all of your Z's and twice as many sheeps. Sheep jumping. Saw logs, jump sheeps, count sheeps, saw logs, and make Z's. Those are the 3 steps of sleeping. Oh, Sandy, I guess Kyra was a little shy. She wanted me to ask you the following question for her on her behalf. She said she wanted me to whisper it to you. Sandy, have you ever felt not so fresh? That's what she wanted me to ask you. I'm not sure why. Maybe she's feeling not so fresh. Julie's sick. Julie's a problem. Julie's always been a problem. She goes on these speed dating places where you go from person to person at a table. She makes all these dates, but she's never satisfied. She's never satisfied. Oh, it wasn't you, Kyra? My mistake. I mistook you for somebody else. I think it was Running Fox who said that. My bad. Sorry, Kyra. It was Running Fox. Running Fox wanted me to whisper that to you, Zandy, because she didn't want to say it out loud herself. I guess this is probably a bad way to do that because everybody could hear it, I mean, down there, after a long day swaddled in puss swaddling, gets a little ripe, Not so fresh. That's when it's time for you to emerge from the bathroom with your bottle of Massengills. Yes, Massengills. When you and your mom ride on a yacht that obviously has a crew manning it, and you're sitting out there on the deck of the yacht, and you have that moment, and you're a teenage girl, and you're talking to your mom, and you finally ask that big question. You've been worrying about it. You've been embarrassed, but you finally ask that big question. Mom, do you ever feel not so fresh? Yes, I do. And so do you. That's why we put water and vinegar or baking soda up our vag. There you go. There's the ad, okay? That's why. That advertisement right there. That's the ad from 1980 whatever that I remember from as a child thinking was hilarious. But that one, and there were some other ones where they asked the question. That wasn't the only one in which one younger, usually younger woman asks an older, wiser woman, you know, like mom or grandma or whoever, do you ever feel not so fresh? And you know, at some point in my childhood, I figured out what that was a product was for. You know, like, what is this thing for? I don't get it. What is that? You know, eventually somebody tells you or whatever, you figure it out, and then you're like, oh my god, that commercial's hilarious. And you still think it's hilarious to this day. Mentally, Andy's always fresh. With that SI Polar, that's as far as she looks. You know, I assume ENFJs aren't totally rank. They're probably pretty good about hygiene because of the FE consequences of bad hygiene. Yachts always make you question things too. I hate yachts. Yachts always make me puke. Cloud, will you just come in as Cloud, please? SI Polar helps stay mentally fresh. Yes. Look, mind over body. Just like my ENFJ grandfather. Not my biological grandfather, but the one I thought of as my grandfather. He was an ENFJ, and he had all these books and stuff about mind over body and how, you know, just basically SI Polar shit. The big question, Mom, you're you that? That is a big question. It's a big question everyone should ask their mom. Mom, you're you that? Which she'll say, what? And you'll repeat, Mom, you're you that? Why are you like that, right? Yeah. That's really... She wasn't worrying for herself. Mom, do you ever feel not so fresh? Freak. Weirdo. What's wrong with you? God, I can't believe you answered that question. Yes. The answer for me is no, never. I always feel oh so fresh. Your you that is better. I like your you that. Mom, you're you that? I don't think I'm going to get a Trumpgate vaccine anytime soon. I don't think they're going to make any vaccine for this thing. Everyone's going to be hurriedly trying to, well, let's forget about what happened yesterday and just pretend that we've been sensible. You know? I don't think they're going to successfully make a vaccine. I had a nice day today. I've been having nice days in general. Things have been pleasant. Bread puns happen when you least expect them. That's an excellent one. When it says mom, I gotta tell you, you get like 10 points for that at least. That's on the pun meter. That's, you know, puns. If you put puns amongst other kinds of jokes, then they may not score very super high on the general meter in general. But on the puns only meter, boy, you are off the charts with that one. That is just spectacular. It's a play on the word least, which rhymes with yeast, because that's associated with bread. Classic, indeed. Classic Running Fox, indeed. We're on the same page regarding that joke. So now that I've gotten my forestry service certificate, as you can see, these are all the places that I'm in charge of now. As a forest ranger, I'm in charge of this place. You can see all the green stuff. Those are plants. I'm also, of course, needless to say, in charge of this place here. This is a very important place. That's why they put me in charge of it. There are some trees that need to be protected from the beavers. And this place as well is another one of the places I'm in charge of. If you're hiking here, I just arrest you right away. Just because I can. Just be like, no, get away from my trees. Now we're back to this place. This is one of my favorite places in the woods. It's a misty place. I can sell the mushrooms for easy cash. No, I leave only footprints and I take only pictures. Okay, I'm a forest ranger now. Which kind of jokes personality types find funny? All personality types find funny jokes funny. But I will tell you that I'll give you an example of a TE joke. Not really a joke. It's the sort of thing, though, that an INTJ finds funny. So, if you've heard the story before, please forgive me repeating it, but my friend Dave Porter, he had some chickens. One of them died, and he didn't want to just throw it in the trash can. You know, I asked him one day, I said, well, what do you do when your chicken dies? He said, well, I don't want to just throw it in the trash can. I said, okay, so well, what do you do? And he said, well, I, take the chicken, I get a large kind of, something bigger than a shoebox, kind of, but it's shallowish like that. I put a little bit of hay in the bottom of it, and I put the chicken carefully in the box. Put the lid on top, say a few words. And I said, and then what do you do? Well, I go and put it in the dumpster. That's a true story. That's how it went with my ISFJ friend. I was asking him about it, I was like, oh, well, what do you do when your chicken dies? Oh, I don't want to just throw it in the trash. So what do you do? Well, with my TE Polar, I've got a great solution to that. I do some bullshit, and then I throw it in the trash. Hilarious, right? True story. I said, he's telling me this shit with a totally straight face. Like, well, obviously I didn't want to just throw it in the trash, so. He proceeds to tell me this shit. I'm like, and he stops it, after he puts it in the box and puts the lid on. And well, then what do you do with it? I put it in the dumpster. Mortgage, ISFJ. Isn't that hilarious? That's a TE joke, INTJs probably think that's funny, because it displays a total lack of sense of TE. Pretty funny. I would never do that. toss that shit in the dumpster. It's like I used to do that kind of shit for Kimberly. You know, anything dies around Kimberly, you got a major funeral operation on your hands. You gotta take a fucking deep ass hole. A lot of animals around the barn, so they'll dig your dead animal up if you don't dig it deep enough. And that's the last thing I need is Kimberly, outside the front screaming because the dead kitten's been dug up in the morning, after this big ceremony we had to go through. Just throw the fucking thing away. It's dead now, I don't care. But, you're not going to tell her that. You're not going to tell the lady, some lady who's like all upset and crying, just throw it in the trash because she doesn't think that way. But to me, it just seems silly. You always had the idea that you need to put the dead animal in a box. It's sort of representative of a casket, I guess. But I mean, burying it's fine, right? But if you that at least says you're a family member, I'm burying you. When my dog died, I buried her. Obviously, I didn't throw her away. You're rarely gonna see a dead cat. You're rarely gonna get your dead cat back. Chances are your cat just disappears, right? But if you do, I'd bury my cat, But if you're not gonna bury it, then just throw it in the trash can. This sort of denying that it's the dumpster thing is weird. It would be a funny movie scene just the way I described it, like the two people having the conversation in the car, would probably play out pretty funny. T.I. humor. T.I. humor is like, I was making some sort of T.I. joke maybe there with Rachel in the car, and I said, this is a T.I. joke. But, let's see if I can think of one. True, things in landfills get buried. True enough. You're just burying it indirectly, right? I see. Okay. I stand corrected. What is T.I. humor? T.I. humor is like misinterpreting something that's like when Homer in this one episode, like, he finds some ambergris or something, and this like guy says something like, you can't take the precious ambergris. And Homer says, precious hamburgers. Or something like that, right? That's a T.I. joke because the person clearly doesn't understand what's being meant there at all and is acting on a misinterpretation of something that clearly means meow if you understand the words and the grammar of the thing, right? I would say that's probably a T.I. joke. And then like, and I guess an NI joke that stuck with me also from The Simpsons would be they're at Moe's Tavern, everybody is, and there's these chemical fumes coming into the bar, and these government people come in hazmat suits, And the first one says, they're looking at the readings, and it goes, "Man alive, there are men alive in here." As he looks down from the thing, right? I'd say that's an NI joke. It's playing off the two meanings of the thing in a determinate way. It's like good NE humor is mostly NI. That's not an example of TI humor. That's just an example of good, sturdy TI correctiveness. You know, another such thing, another kind of joke is, this is kind of like an FETI joke where somebody goes, when he says, like, you know, well, you know, I think you're a bitch, under their breath like that, and the person from kind of far away goes, "What did you say?" And they go, "Oh, just that the baseball game on TV." And they go, "I just said, oh, look at that pitch. It was a strike." You know, that'd be like an FETI joke, trying to say that it's some rhyming thing that's unrelated to the FE implications of it, right? While maintaining your actual FE orientation. When putting your hand on a running lawnmower to remove the grass and cutting your hand to be an example of bad TE. Bad TE, yeah, terrible TE. If it's on, but not necessarily polar. Like, I could see myself doing something stupid like that. Would SI jokes be the classic? A perfect SI joke is this. Cameron made it one time in Laverne. We were watching the Winter Olympics, I think, or maybe we were just watching skiing on TV. I don't know. And he was chewing some chips in time with the woman going back and forth. And then after he swallowed them, he said, "Boy, that lady skis loudly." I was like, "Damn, Cameron, that's fucking slamming. That's a great SI joke." And I noted at the time, I was like, an SI joke. It's an amazing SI joke. I totally got to remember that as an example. And now here it is. I pull it up. You know, that's what my SI does. It keeps track of shit like that. It was funny, you know. He was chewing the chips with it. Neither Kimberly or I think, probably noticed exactly until after he was followed and said it that he had been doing it in time with the swishing. And it was hilarious, you know. It's more of a meta joke, horse mumbler. Not to be pedantic or anything. Right, boy, that lady skis loudly is pretty damn funny. You know. I just flew in from Chicago, and boy, are my arms tired. See, I mean, there's certain NI things like that. For example, it's sort of TI, sort of NI. When I made my joke about being in the Indian tribe with super good eyesight, and then after my eyesight goes, they assign me to doing the rain dance. That was my responsibility for a whole year. You know, didn't rain once. Boy, were my feet tired. Right? It's a play on that joke. It's an allusion to my arms are tired joke. Same kind of construction, but instead, it's got this added sort of thing where you don't see it coming because of the build-up, the way it approaches it, and also the added factor of he was assigned to do the rain dances for a year. Boy, might be tired. That implies that he was dancing for the whole year. There's a variation on it, you see. So, like, what would be a Essie joke? Essie jokes are physical clowning. Like, Three Stooges stuff. FI jokes? Well, I mean, I guess, I don't know if it's an FI joke. It's probably an FI polar joke about FI. Is sometimes I like to pretend to react like an FI person or something. Like that, you know? I don't know if that's an FI joke exactly. It's more like making fun of FI people. I mean, I don't like physical humor at all. It makes sense you like it more than me. Sometimes it's funny, but it rarely is. It has to sort of be conceptually funny. Here's an example of like visual humor that's funny. This might also be an NI. This is an NI joke. In Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid, Steve Martin goes to make a cup of his famous Joe. And his famous Joe, he pours coffee into a pot from a bag of coffee right here. And he just keeps pouring and pouring and pouring. It just keeps coming out. It's like way more coffee than could ever come out of that bag, right? It's something that you can't really explain. It's funny because it's not built on language. It's built on the NI understanding that there's no way in hell it could take that long for you to pour out all the coffee from a bag, you know? So that would be an example, I guess, of NI humor. That kind of physical humor seems funny to me sometimes. There's a kind of equivalent joke in Wet Hot American Summer. In that one about the Daredevil that we saw, which I forget what it was called, but it starred the guy from Saturday Night Live. I forget what his name is. Anyway, they rolled down the hill for a really long time. They're fighting, and then they both roll down the hill for a super long time. It's pretty funny, you know. It's the sort of thing you can't really describe and have it remain funny because there's no concept to it beyond that you can take away from the durational aspect to it, you know. I guess another example of a TI joke is the joke I made in the gas station that one time, where I went in right before they closed, like at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I got a pack of cigarettes. I went in the next day at like 2 p.m. probably get another pack of cigarettes, but I don't know why I went in there again. But anyway, and I said to the guy it was the same guy who was working the night before, and I said to him, "Wow, long shift." He thought that was very funny. It really struck him as funny, like he busted up so hard. It was so gratifying to see. Anyway, that's got to be, I guess, maybe a TE joke or maybe a TI joke, because it's like, it's a TI joke in the sense that it's a silly conclusion, or maybe it's an NI joke. It's a ridiculous conclusion to draw from these two pieces of data that just, ignoring the fact that he's obviously gone home, gone to sleep. The first person came in the morning shift, and he just probably gone on for the afternoon shift, Jonathan Winters can be quite fun. I always appreciated him when I was a kid. I would say he's any humor. It's you gotta really constrain the NE for any humor to work. Exactly. It's like the best NE humor is NI. and he's really good at ripping on things. So it'd be really good at yucking it up amongst people. You know, if we're interfacing as a group or something, and I'm sort of sitting back waiting for an opportunity to make a really good joke or something, I can probably be very successful at getting a lot of laughs. I mean, Robin Williams tried to use a lot of Essie humor. It didn't really work. Yeah, but sort of NEFI. I mean, he's an ENFP. He's just, I never thought he was funny at all. Maybe the first couple of years on Morgan Mindy or something. But, yeah, I was never impressed with him. I would say another example of, see, all good comedy is mostly, I would say that it's got NE in it, because you're trying to surprise with humor, right? And that's what NE does, is it's looking for something that's different in a way that's appealing. And of course, but you can find infinite different things, so it relies on that ignoring NI to be active anyway, and say, well, this is the funny one, you know. I don't remember that. What other kinds of humor are there that one could really analyze? So, it's like, well, I mean, what about that thing that I played the other night by Abbott and Costello, which is the Silver Ore? Would you call that TI humor? FE humor? Where he says Silver Ore what? Well, the FE humor, of course, comes in when he's saying, and you refuse to finish the sentence. Where he's taking the role of indignant correct one, even though what he's saying is ridiculous and produced by his misunderstanding of the fact that it was O-R-E for ore and S-M-E-L-T for smelt rather than smell. And he didn't know that a smith was somebody who worked iron or silver ore into precious metals, and thought it was the last name Smith. So it's like it was built on him misunderstanding words that have synonyms, and then getting indignant about it in a way that played as funny because, of course, he was in the wrong, but was behaving entirely as though he were being spoken to in an unreasonable fashion. Abbott was quite an interesting talent. There's one thing in there, in that part of that scene where he says, well, if I had been on the ground so long, of course it smells, and I push it back down on the ground, and you can see him just sort of enjoying himself being weird. That's a moment of any humor in there. Who's on first? The same thing. Yeah, absolutely. Desert INTJ. When I introduced the silver ore thing, the other day I mentioned first that this is another example of the who's on first thing. So obviously Abbott and Costello, they tried to maybe come up with some other shit that was like their previous successful stuff, and the silver ore one was quite successful. I thought it was very, very funny. I'd never seen it before, unlike Who's on First, so it had a chance to work on me, like honestly, you know. And it did. And there were a number of funny bits in that, even though it was from 1948. That's impressive when you. Okay, well, I mean, I would contend that it's a meta joke because it's not actually funny at all and doesn't really purport to be funny, but really rather purports to enable this line of meta joking that you're engaged in. So, You know, they also had this scene in that movie where there's a reporter who's clearly an NEDOM pedant, right? So he's like super pedantic ENTP. And during the entire interview, he never lets Abbott get a word in, and then he spends the interview time critiquing Abbott for being so talkative and stuff. It's I also find the discourse on the landfill joke pretty funny. I find the discourse on the landfill joke more funny than the landfill joke, which the status as a joke was until recently in dispute. Although I'm willing to concede the status on Horse Mumbler. Yes, it was a joke. And a proud and noble joke it was. One that shall go down in American history as the joke that prompted this discussion about whether or not your comment regarding the landfill burying things comprised a joke. So, you know, I like the fact that we get down to the very bottom of all the TI notes here. That we're not going to let this thing just slide past us without resolving it in full. It's important that we have all of our statuses down and we're in complete agreement about them. That's part of my new motto. Civility today, Erica's president tomorrow. Now you're just being contrary, Horse Mumbler. Look, remember, it's yes and, not no but, okay? There are no no's and no buts in no buts. Okay? That goes without saying. Welcome to No Buts. Here, we're about not making excuses, okay? How do we not make excuses here at No Buts? Well, here at No Buts, we like to say there are no no's and no buts anywhere here at No Buts. That's right. Repeat our motto after me. That's No Buts motto. There are no no's and no buts anywhere here at No Buts. You can't find a salute for that joke, right? The metaverse has cracked into the emoji repertoire and denied you an appropriate one. Saying, no, you will not reduce this to some NI normality. This is indeed a crack in reality, a fissure, opening up and consuming all around us, like a hungry black hole. I like no butts that I cannot lie. Like a girl with no butt. It's just straight like hip bone, anus. No cheeks. Just gets in the way. Wow. You really, truly have no butt cheeks at all. Yeah, it's just how I am. I don't know. I was born with no butt cheeks. Just flat there, just you can see the bone. Yeah. I guess you must be popular with the anal crowd. Oh yeah. Yep, I am. Unfortunately, not a big fan of it, but everyone keeps, but you gotta let me put it in your butt, they say to me, because you have no butt cheeks. And I say, fine, go get some coconut oil. Yeah, then afterwards we have pancakes. I say, fine, but you have to make me pancakes afterwards. And I want blueberry syrup, not maple. Yeah, crepes, please. Crepes, or crepes, or pan crepes, or pan crepes. But no pancakes and no flapjacks, unless they're waffle iron flapjacks, or griddle cakes, okay? Those are my rules. Learn them, love them, live them. There are no no's and no buts. There are no buts. It's such a wonderful motto. It's like, to me, that's a TI joke too. It's like, you gotta just be not thinking if that's your business motto. I mean, like, what are all my business ideas anyway? My brilliant business ideas, like more than just condiments and Food Cube and all licenses all the time and you and what army? Those I guess are probably any jokes. God's Big Heaven Church. Some of my many business ideas. A good joke for a good folk to poke your head with at night when woke. So you have a smoke, drink a Coke before you stroke your yoke and invoke the power of the grand artichoke. It's a wonderful poem through the air nomad. Okay, time to smoke this bong rip. If you want to smoke this bong rip, you should probably use your torch. That'll make it better, bong rip. Friendships on my porch. Oh, merciful heaven. So let's talk a little bit about the world and the ways of the world. The update on the world that I was promising before. Here's my update on the world. We need a mass movement in which people get impassioned about civility and restraint. Civility and citizenship. Now, sounds like a tall order, you know? Civility and citizenship are not exactly sexy advocacies, but I really think therein lies the world's future. And that citizenship does not mean political zeal, you know? It's like, indeed, it's not the zealous whom ought be leading us, but the prudent. And that doesn't mean unwilling to take a hard stance or hard position or execute difficult action when it's called upon. It means going in with a notion of humility and also of fortitude and purpose. You got to have a clear moral compass, you know. There is no more morally engaging position I could imagine having in the world, possibly, than President of the United States, right? It's like you gotta, all of a sudden you shift from a life in which requires you to make relatively few moral decisions to one that requires you to make a lot of moral decisions. At least, typically, life requires you to make few real complex moral decisions. It's like, normally the negative stuff, well, should I or should I not rob this person, is a no-brainer. It's just default. You're not going to do that. The positive stuff, it's not clear exactly what you ought to do. So, but it seems clear that we have a need for a meaningful willingness to engage with people as fellow citizens, assuming they're both well-intentioned and not delusional, even if they disagree with us, you know. Good night, Running Fox. I'm going to bed pretty soon too myself. Augustus returned his empire and noticed a man on the card bore striking himself intrigued. He asked, "Was your mother at one time in service of the palace?" "No, your highness, my father was." Ah. So his father humped Augustus's wife. Augustus's mom. So the man in the crowd's father humped Augustus's mom rather than Augustus's king emperor father. I see. Interesting. Ooh, bastard child. That's what that means. Like, what kind of joke is Brittany's good joke? When somebody asks Brittany, "Do you have any kids?" she says, "None that I know of." You know, obviously, if you're a woman, you can't really have a kid and not know about it because you have to go through the whole pregnancy thing and childbirth and everything. So therein lies the humor, you see. What kind of joke is that? Probably a TE joke. Or an FI joke, I guess. I guess it's an FI joke. Because you're joking that, in part, that you could be so... so detached from the thing that you might not know, if you gave birth. It's kind of an FI joke, or an SI joke, I guess. But I'd say it's probably best described as a TE joke because it's like, well, that's not how it's done. That's not how babies come around. They don't come around in a way in which a person could be not able to tell that they were having a baby. So in that sense, it's a TE joke, I think. But it was made by a TI polar person. But I think she's making a TE joke there. It's to the extent that we want to classify jokes like that. Alright, so I'm going to bed. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. Please don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.